One, two, three, four. One, two, three, four. One, two, three.
Hello, hello, hello. Hey everyone in YouTube land. How you guys doing today? It's me, John Lorden, here with the second Johnny Vlogs live, and here come the chills again. Just like last time. Crazy excited to be here with all of you. Thank you so much for joining today. We are going to go into a very important topic, and it's a topic that I've wanted to get into for a long time. But it's kind of tricky because it can be a bit dark. It could be a bit hard to talk about. But I think the way that we're going to cover it today is the perfect way to cover it, because we're going to talk to someone that is on the front lines of trying to deal with trafficking and basically child sex slavery. Very, very important topic to talk about today. But as usual, for every Johnny Vlogs, before we get to that, we have some thanks to give. First of all, I just want to give a quick shout out to everyone in the live chat. Dancing Muffin, Asta, Heather Reeson, Miko Starshine, what's up? Larissa Montiero, hope I'm saying that right. It wouldn't be an episode of one of my shows without me mispronouncing something. Rain G, Charlie Whaley, Redefining Myself, Scott TK, Vicky Garcia, Jennifer Cochran, Fent, Zoe Marlowe, John Robertson, what's up John? Haven't talked to you in a while. Marissa S, Yoga Dork, very nice to see you here. Jared Baker, Dubinator, cool name. Sylvanka 82, Heather Reason. Thank you guys so much for all being here. I also want to give a quick thank you to the most recent Patreon supporters that have jumped on. First of all, we have Maribel Marquez, who has upped her contribution. Thank you very much. Maria Knickerbocker, now pledged on Patreon. Eileen Askey, also pledged on Patreon. Stephanie West just pledged on Patreon. Carrie Thomas upped their pledge. Thank you so much, Carrie. And Joni Danger. You guys know, with the times that we're dealing with in terms of YouTube right now, it is so important to have support from amazing people like you. Keeps me here trying to help other people, and that's what I want to do, and you guys are a huge part of it. I can't do it without you. So thank you, thank you, thank you so much. All right, so how are we going to start this? This is the first time I've actually had a guest on, so I'm really excited about that. And we also have... Oh, sorry, Jared, it's Barker. Okay, I gotcha. We also have a video that I want to watch together. So there's a lot of technical stuff going on my end, so please forgive if I have a little fudge here or there in terms of what you guys are seeing. I've been trying to work more with the software during the regular episodes, as you've seen, so I'm much more comfortable with it now. But let's go ahead and talk for a minute just about this organization. It is called Destiny Rescue. And we are going to be talking to Cory Nickols. He's going to tell us more about himself once he gets on. But essentially what this organization does is goes into situations where there is likely some form of child slavery, child trafficking, particularly for the sex industry in third world countries. and they rescue these children. They literally start a rapport with them. They try to pull them out of that situation. They give them a place to live. They give them schooling. They give them alternate jobs so that they can create and make money in different ways. It's very, very cool what they are doing. And I have to give a very big thank you to missing mom Shannon, she's kind of the conduit that made this connection between Corey and I happen. So thank you so much, missing mom Shannon. And Destiny Rescue, of course, just like I can't do it without your guys' help, they can't do it without the help of others. So we're also going to be talking about several different ways where if you are moved to, you can donate to them, you can help them continue their mission. And this is like the perfect week to be going into this. We have Missing Children's Day that just happened yesterday, Red Nose Day yesterday. This is a week to really think about giving to these types of causes. So I hope that you will consider Destiny Rescue as being a charity worth your attention. So with all that being said, give me a moment to get this video started here. This video really moved me when I first saw it, and I'm hoping it will do the same for you. It is essentially a story told from the perspective of one of these kids that has been rescued. So let's check this out together.
My name is Sariat. I am 19. My parents, they are very poor. When I was 15, a man came into my room. I want to shout for help but can't, as the man put his hand across my mouth and he put his knife on my neck. He do very bad things to me. After he do very bad to me, I cry very hard. My parents go to the village chief about what happened to me. He was not arrested because the village chief received some money from the perpetrator. The village chief want to force me to marry the man. I don't want to get married. He is the bad man who abused me. Other neighbors start to blame me and say very bad things to me. I take many medicine to try and kill myself. I want to run away far from that place. My auntie heard about Destiny Rescue. I really want to go because I feel so sad, so ashamed, and I have very bad reputation in my village. It was very hard because I never left my family before I was 15. Destiny Rescue provide everything for me. Good food, a good place to stay, everything to use, and after maybe 1 month, I stayed to learn a sewing skill. When I have problem or remember bad things, I go to counselor and then I feel like I can go forward. I have a dream to go to the big city and learn all the sewing skills. I want to learn everything. This is my dream. Destiny Rescue arranged everything for me. I studied for 2 years. In 2012, I came to work for Destiny Rescue as a sewing teacher. Now I say to the rescue girls, stay strong. You are the one who controls your life. So if you face any problems, be strong and face that problem, and the other people can support you. Because of Destiny Rescue, my dreams come true.
And that is called Broken to Beautiful. Once again, just watching it right now just gave me chills. To understand that we're not only looking into a horrible situation here, we're talking about different cultural influences. There's a lot of different levels to this problem, and there's a lot of different ways to try to attack this problem, and that is what Destiny Rescue is looking to do. I love in that story that not only was this person rescued from that situation, but then she became part of helping others get out of a similar situation. I think that when you learn something that saves yourself, it's always great to share that with other people. And of course, that message was baked into this piece as well. So let's go ahead and now introduce Cory Nichols. And I've got a new little setup here where you guys can hopefully see both of us talking to each other. Let's see, we are right here. That's Cory. Say hi, Cory.
Hello, everyone. How's it going?
So Cory, first of all, tell us your title and what you do for Destiny Rescue.
John, thanks for having me on your show. My name is Cory Nickols. I'm Destiny Rescue's National Director of Development. And so my job is I travel around the country bringing to light the issue of human trafficking, specifically child sexual slavery, and inspiring audiences, whether they're young or old, business, the faith-based community, that we would get involved in this fight. It's not enough just to know about this issue. We need to be engaged in this global pandemic, this global evil. And unless we do something, innocent children will be affected in unbelievable ways, and they'll live very destructive lives if we don't step in and do something. So my job is to help inspire people and help people take action in this fight.
Well, and let me just say that this is the second time that I've spoken to Cory, and if anything, I can say this guy's inspiring. There is just an energy level that kicks off this guy, and it's great. This is really why I feel so comfortable going into a topic like this, because we're hitting it from this approach of, yes, there's a problem. We're going to talk about the problem, but we're also talking about people that are really standing up, trying to do the right thing and create solutions to that problem. I also just want to give everyone out there a reminder, we will have a Q&A session. You will be able to ask Cory some questions towards the end. So just if you want to start thinking those up, writing those down, please do so. It's sometimes hard. It'll get lost in the list if you send them now. So just wait until I open up the Q&A to send that information in to me. Cory, one of the things that we've talked about before is trying to understand the dynamics that you're fighting here and how these children are winding up in this situation. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so human trafficking is the fastest growing illegal enterprise in our world today. It affects every country, and it's a $150 billion a year industry. 99 billion of it is specific to sexual exploitation. And, you know, every country in the world's affected, but the most affected countries are the developing world, those with poor infrastructures, a lack of resources, manpower, and tools to combat injustice. And you have extreme poverty, a lack of education, and high corruption. Because you don't have the ability to fight and hold people accountable, this issue, it creates the perfect breeding ground in the developing world. In fact, 93% of all trafficking in the world takes place in the developing world. And so our organization's mission is to end child sexual slavery worldwide. It's a global pandemic, but we're starting in the developing world because there's such an issue. In fact, leading causes of what we have found in almost every one of our stories of these kids, once we unpack their situation, the leading causes that creates vulnerability is the instability or breakdown of family and poverty. You can have one, many times it's both, or one or the other, but it creates an upheaval in their living environment that ultimately creates at-risk situations, which kids end up in the sex trade because of this.
And what countries are we talking about? I know Destiny Rescue has kind of some select countries that they're really focusing on right now. Where is that?
Yeah, so this issue is huge. Our organization has been around since 2001, but you can't be everywhere at once. We have to be strategic in what countries we go into. And so currently, the countries that we're working on are Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, India, the Philippines, and the Dominican Republic. Every one of those countries is a hot spot for this issue, specifically child sexual slavery. And we have a mission to end child sexual slavery worldwide. And so we are considering many reasons why we'd go into a specific country. Number one, there's a demand there. Number two, there's a lack of resources and tools the government has to face and fight this issue. So they love organizations like the work of Destiny Rescue to come in and work alongside anti-trafficking police, their government agencies, and other non-government organizations, NGOs, to really provide support and fight and combat this issue.
So you have support from most governments, all the governments. How does that kind of break out?
So in every country that we work in, like, we're not a vigilante group. We do have undercover agents within our organization that work closely with anti-trafficking police. So they could be regional police, local police, or they're equivalent to the US FBI. So they're top government law enforcement divisions. So when we go into a country, we have what we call a memo of understanding so that our agents can go in and work alongside law enforcement to do rescue, and also work independently from them. Sadly, because of this issue, and many times government or even law enforcement, they don't get paid the best wages. Right. And so they're looking for other forms of income, and brothel owners are tipping off, whether it's law enforcement or government officials, to turn a blind eye, and they get a kickback from that. And so I think that the challenge and the sad thing here is the very people that should be ensuring justice for men, women, and children in many of these countries are the perpetrators, are the ones that are fueling this issue and causing it to continue to exist in an exponential fashion.
And that's just an amazing point about all this. You are really taking on a huge problem that is a cultural issue, a government issue. You've got family dynamics that get involved with why some of these children wind up in these situations. There are so many different levels that you guys have to battle with this. And on top of all that, you have people that are making a significant amount of money. And of course, they're going to try to protect their interests the best that they can. It is amazing. So just to be clear, you guys are literally sending agents into brothels, right?
We are, and it's very dangerous. We've had death threats in some cases. We've had guns pulled on some of our agents. We've had a couple of our agents beaten up. We've had agents stabbed. And so, you're taking people's livelihood and commodity, and they don't look at that favorably if you are taking their source of income. And right. So, we understand the risk factors going in undercover. It means putting our lives in danger. But beyond our own risk, we see that every child should have the right to live out his or her God-given destiny. And we're willing to risk our lives to ensure children can dream the dream that they've been born to do.
That's amazing. Before we get into, because I want to ask you kind of what the typical workflow is for an extraction, but before we get into that, let's talk about one of the ways that people can support you guys. And for this, if you want to go ahead and kick on your screen share on your end, and let me switch the camera view. Okay, so what's the most simple way that people can help you guys at Destiny Rescue? This is destinyrescue.org, right?
Yep, destinyrescue.org. So if you go to our main website, there's a lot of different navigation points, but the simplest way to donate towards our organization, if you just want to make a quick donation, would be the donate button up in the top right-hand corner. It's an orange box that says donate now. And if you click on that, it's going to lead you to two types of giving: a one-time donation, which if you just want to make an in-kind donation towards our organization, you can do that. Or if this is stirring your heart where you want to get involved on a monthly basis, you have the opportunity to do reoccurring donation there. And that will prompt you to the right pages where you can have it automatically debited from your account. Or if you just simply want to write a check and send it into our organization, you would go to the contact us page right over here on the right, and then our P.O. box information's there. Just make checks payable to Destiny Rescue, and you can send that in, and you'll get an end of year tax statement credit for your donation. So we are a 501c3 nonprofit, and you'll get tax credit up to the allowable amounts that the IRS sets. So
excellent. And you had also mentioned before, what is the percentage of a donation that goes to actually helping these kids?
Absolutely. So we have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, Guide Star. We're getting ready to be rated through Charity Navigator, and we'll get a top rating there. And then the ECFA is another organization. We have top ratings with all of those. So 83% currently of our funds go to programs that benefit our children. So 17% stays in the United States, 9% for fundraising, and 8% for administration. So we have great ratings. If you're interested in learning more about our financials, under the About Us tab up here, you can go onto there, and one of the tabs is called Finances, and you'll see our last year's audit. So we get audited every year by an independent accounting firm. So
excellent. Go ahead and switch back to your regular view. Yeah, and that's an amazing thing that you guys are so transparent about your finances like that. I mean, you can literally go to your website and click on it and learn and see last year's audit. That's just great. I love transparency like that. It really helps us people make sure that we're giving to the right places. And I know, like, I've used a website before called Charity Navigator. You guys are just about to get listed with them, right?
Yes, that's correct. So in the United States, our organization's been around for almost 16 years, since 2001. But in the United States, we've been around for, I believe, 9 years. And so Charity Navigator requires 7 years of 990s. And so the first 2 years within the United States, we did not bring in enough money to qualify for the minimum standard.
Oh, I totally understand that.
So the past 7 years we have, and so we just finished our 7th year. We just had it audited, and so Charity Navigator this year will begin going through their rating system and then rating us.
Excellent.
So you can find us on Charity Navigator, but not under the 990 section, which gives you the big ratings.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But we will.
And obviously you guys aren't going to have any problem with that, with as clear as you're being about your business. Back to the conversation about extractions. What is the typical kind of workflow for extracting someone, and where do they go? Where does it go from there?
Absolutely. So there's 2 different types of rescues that we do as an organization. Number one is what we call a soft rescue. And so the goal here is not to shut down a brothel or prosecute perpetrators. The goal is to get the child out of the horrific situation. Some children could be raped 3 times a night, 5 times. In India, I've heard stories where they've been raped up to 40 times a night.
Whoa.
Do the math. That's almost impossible.
And what ages are we talking about here?
So we rescue children from 17 years old down to 4 years old.
Oh my God.
We rescued 2 4-year-olds in 2016. And I believe the youngest we've rescued this year so far is 7 years old. But these kids, so the goal is to build relationship and trust with them in a soft rescue. Again, we have to go in undercover. You can't just go into these places. You have to spend money. It's very dangerous. And many times there's corruption. So you don't know who you can trust in terms of law enforcement. So that creates an uphill battle of going into these places, and it takes time to build trust. As you're going in, posing as a customer. It's an uphill battle of building trust. Their parents have sold them into a brothel. They were lied to, tricked. Their family sent them out looking for work and were promised work in a factory or in a restaurant. And as soon as these kids get there, all their documentation is taken from it and they're forced into the sex trade. So all of a sudden, why would they trust you? You say all these great things, you're kind and sweet to them, but it takes time to develop trust.
Right.
And so it could take a couple days, it could take weeks, it could take months. Each child, depending on the level of trauma that they've endured, plays into those factors of that trust level.
So you've got to have a bit of a feeling even within you about, okay, now's the right time to kind of spring this. And
Yes.
it's a huge responsibility, because at that point, the child is deciding between upsetting some people that could be people you really don't want to upset to try to get out of this situation.
Absolutely. Because, if you reveal who you are prematurely, that puts you at risk. It puts the child at risk.
Yeah.
And it creates a dangerous situation moving forward to try to extract these kids. And so it just takes an innate knowing in your heart, and having done this for a long time, you begin to develop when is the right time. And so that's why it's not a cookie cutter. This is the step-by-step what you do.
Right.
You have to have a level of intuition inside of you, where you recognize, okay, I feel like there's enough here to where I'm willing to risk that. And so one of the protocols for our agents is you never mention who you are inside of a brothel. So you may pay what's called a bar fine, which is literally a transaction, the initial transaction for sex.
Yeah.
It's the time you're paying for that individual to be away from serving drinks and sitting with customers. You're paying for that time. And then usually there's another tip you give the girl if they have sex with the girl. Right. So in that case, what we do is we'll take them off to a restaurant. Many times we'll meet with them maybe at a hotel or in a safe place where our caseworkers will be there and explain in great detail who we are. And we're saying, we're offering you a better life. This life is not the life for you. We can do so much more for you. And so we explain to them our safe homes. We explain to them we can provide an education for you, vocational training, and we can help you dream the dream that's really in you. And, usually tears streaming down their face, they say yes. Yeah. But typically they don't come with you the first time. So, for example, we've had girls that we've rescued, they actually took paring knives with them to stab our agents if it went south. Whoa. Because they didn't know who they could trust. And so, it's a huge risk for them. They're risking the horrible life that they're living in this brothel and going with a stranger that they're believing is everything they say that they're going to do. And so that's what we call a soft rescue. And the reason the majority of our rescues are soft rescues is it could take 6 months or more to do an official raid. Again, you're dealing with tip-offs. 2/3 of our raids fail because of people tipping off brothels. And so what that means is the justice systems we're working within, there might be 10 great cops you're working with. All it takes is one, the 11th cop. And now all of a sudden, what was successful, now all these kids are out of there and they've been dispersed into other brothels. So now that 6 months of planning went down the tube. And so we feel we have an obligation to ensure these children are not abused every single day and live this meager life, but to see them healed and restored. So that's what we call a soft rescue. Now, a hard rescue is where we work closely with anti-trafficking police or government agencies to do raids and bring prosecution. In those cases, sometimes we use marked bills. Sometimes we have undercover cameras rolling. And when the transaction goes down, there's proof that there was a transaction that can bring prosecution. And then what we do is we'll take that girl that we had purchased or that we had to purchase for the bar fine, if you will, take her to a safe place, and then police will raid the establishment, lock it down, and we'll ID every person in there to ensure there's no traffic victims and no children under the age of 18. And so our largest raid to date We rescued 22 girls in one raid. 19 of them were under the age of 18, and the youngest was 13 years old.
Wow.
And we've had many successful raids, bringing brothel owners to justice, shutting them down, putting them in prison. Pedophiles, we do a great job at prosecuting pedophiles and ensuring that they cannot go on abusing kids. In fact, we had one. We were paying we were funding undercover an undercover group that was not Destiny Rescue, but they were being funded by our organization. They helped bring to justice a 93-year-old man that raped 4 girls. When he was 91, he paid, because of the lax laws in this country. Mm-hmm. He posted bond and fled into Myanmar. He actually lived in Thailand, but he was a Western man, I believe from Australia, but was originally from Europe. And he went to Thailand and was abusing all these kids. And he did not get caught until he was 91 years old. Yeah. I was thinking, how many kids had he abused over and over again, just living in Asia, pretending to be an English teacher and abusing kids. So Destiny Rescue is on the hunt to bring prosecution to those that are exploiting children and ensuring that these kids can absolutely live out the dream God has intended them to dream.
Now, we're talking a lot about what I assume would be females, but are boys getting caught up in this as well?
Absolutely. They totally are. You know, boys and girls, they're typically not at the same establishments. You have a different clientele. I hate to even say it that way, but you know, some people prefer boys over girls. Right. And so they're usually at different establishments. Since 2011, we've rescued over 2,000 children, actually 2,199 children we've rescued to date. Last week, we rescued 26 children, and we're rescuing kids literally every single day. But to answer your question, we've rescued 3 boys this year. Mm-hmm. And in 2016, at the very end of the year, so just maybe like 6 months ago, we rescued 17 boys in a raid. And the youngest was 8 years old. And the majority of them were between 8 years old and 14 years old, somewhere in there. There were a couple that were 15 and 16. But I just have to say thank you, first of all, for being a part of this wonderful organization and for trying to tackle these issues. And, you know, even just doing what I do here, sometimes it can get you down, you know, looking into cases that are unsolved, looking into missing people. It can wear on me a little bit for the realities that you're facing out there. Man, that is some tough stuff. I would imagine that you're working with some very good people and you are all taking care of each other through this as well. Absolutely. I mean, I think what fuels me, because I've done undercover work. I used to live overseas in Thailand working for our organization. And now I'm back in the United States speaking on our behalf, telling these kids stories. But I saw some of the most horrific injustices done to kids. Yeah. And, you know, in my mind, I see these kids crying out for help. And I'll never forget, John, there's kids that are literally praying to God, deliver me. And within 2 days, our rescue agents are there in that brothel rescuing that child. And so, you know, these cries are not falling to deaf ears. And our organization is on the front line fighting this fight. And so for me, our organization does a good job. I think any organization can improve on the care for your staff or organization. But anytime like our rescue agents need to talk about the things they've seen or whatever, we have counselors available to them and we'll pay for that to happen. Nice. We have had some of our agents that really struggled in seeing some of the things they've seen. So we do care for those people. And again, I have a great network and support around me. And I just find my strength for me personally. I don't know if you're a faith-based person or some of the audience, but from God, I find that support knowing that we can overcome evil with great good. And, I could look at the glass half empty or half full. I'm a half full kind of guy. I don't care if I'm up against the mountain and everybody's against me somehow, some way. I'm going to find a way forward to help ensure justice for more kids.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. As a matter of fact, when we were talking earlier about you guys going up against brothel owners that are probably extremely well funded, I almost said it's like you're going Davy versus Goliath in some of these situations. And it does take a certain level, I think, of faith and perseverance to really stick with a cause like that. So I totally understand that. And I'm just so thankful that you guys are there to do that and support each other and understand how tough that type of work is. That's what's great about having you in the role that you're in now, where you can share these types of experiences with the rest of us that you have done firsthand. And as a matter of fact, I've asked Corey to tell us a specific story about one of the rescues he has done. But before we do that, I want to jump back to another one of the donation methods. If you could, go ahead and share your screen, and I want to take a look at the items where you can pay. Exactly, that's the screen. And while we're looking at this, Corey, explain to us, obviously we're talking about a majority of these children are girls, and you get them back to a safe house. From there, is there a like a workflow of, well, if you're this old, we're going to get you into school. If you're this old, we're going to teach you a vocation. How does that really work?
Absolutely. So, the first step to being healed is, number one, you get rescued out of that horrible environment. Environment is everything. And so once we rescue these kids, we bring them to a safe environment. If you remember back to what we talked about, 2 leading causes. Now, they're not the only leading causes, but the instability or breakdown of family, creating an unstable family environment, or poverty. And so these kids come live in one of our safe homes where they get professional-based counseling. All their daily needs are met. Their food, clothing, shelter, medical treatment. Once they go through this restoration phase, which is about 6 months, after that, our counselors, caseworkers, and life course class teachers are all working to assess that individual child to see if they're ready for the next phase. If they're not, they'll go through the healing program again. If they are ready for the next phase, if they're under the age of 15, we're going to pay for their education.
Wow.
And our caseworkers are going to help discover the dreams in their hearts and then begin to set goals for them to begin to attack and take steps towards. If they're 15 to 17 years old, they can start learning a skill or trade. They can continue with their education, or they can do both. And so again, our caseworkers are discovering the dreams in their hearts. And we have found in the developing world, many times these kids, they don't want to further their education. They want to learn a skill or trade so that they can help support their families. If you remember, we're too young, but if you were born back into the 30s, 40s, 50s, maybe 60s, like most people didn't go to college. You worked on a farm, you're
right.
farmers, you're doing trade type environment. So it is a real blessing to live here in the United States, where the majority of farming now is done by a few farmers with hundreds, if not thousands of acres, and they're just doing their thing. But we have the privilege of getting a secondary education where you're going on to college, university, and becoming just so many more options available to people in our world today in which we live. Those are not always available in some of the developing world. And they're thinking more on the terms of survival. Where's my next meal coming from? They're not thinking in terms of, I have time to twiddle my thumbs because I make enough money that I can think about the future and plan with goals and stuff. No, they're thinking, my family's starving. How am I going to meet my 3 meals for my family today? Yeah. One of our country managers in Thailand, he talked about growing up. It was a luxury if he had meat at the table, and he would get meat once a month. Otherwise, they lived off vegetables, and if they could catch minnows and crawdads, crayfish in the stream that they lived near. Right. Now, that's unbelievable. You and I don't think like that. If we don't get meat, on a daily basis, if not multiple meals a day,
Yeah.
we're like grumpy campers. I'm like, I'm not getting enough food. So
Yeah. Well, except for those of us that are vegetarian. Let me just put
that's true.
my little
That's
vegetarian hat on there. But that's what I love most about this page that we're looking at right now about these gift categories. This is where now, especially for the viewers that are watching this, they're understanding the workflow a bit. They're understanding that the child gets pulled out of the bad situation, put into a safe situation, counseling, food, clothing, education, all that stuff is needed. And if there's a particular bucket that you want to help fill in that equation, that's what this page is about. So why don't you take us through this page a little bit here, Corey?
So the way to find this page, I just want to go up, clear up to the top. So if you come to our homepage on destinyrescue.org and go over to gift catalog and then view gift catalog, that will take you to the screen that we're looking at. So, and as you scroll down, we wanted to create opportunities for individuals that could give in a way that they can give. It's a monetary value that they can give fairly easily. So the first one is a rescue welcome pack. So what this includes is when we rescue these kids, they come live in our care. Well, many times they have no clothes except skimpy clothes they have. So it may include helping them with clothing, like new linens, a new wardrobe, or hygiene products to makeup, and just everything to say we love you and we value you. So one of those rescue welcome packs is $25.
And that helps. I mean, we're talking self-esteem here. We really haven't cut into it too much here, but shame is a big word that came up the last time we were talking, because these children, it's not like they're being chained up in the brothels they're in. They're in there because of severe amounts of shame that they have been put into, manipulation in many cases, where they've been conditioned to feel less than as human as some other people. So that's where something like this really, really strikes me as being a great thing and a great way for people to give and send a direct message to that kid of, hey, there's someone out here that doesn't even know you, that believes that you're worth it. And I think that's really, really important.
Absolutely. Exactly. These kids, many times, they don't even feel their own family loves them, their own parents. They feel like they've been betrayed by their parents, that they would have to go live in this horrific environment. Sometimes the parent will pick one of their children, preferably a girl, that they pick to go to the brothel so that the rest of the children can get an education, especially if they're a boy. Now, what message does that send a child?
Yeah.
I'm unwanted. I'm unvalued. I'm trash. Now, my brothers, they're the ones carrying on the family name, and they're looked at as the prize commodity within our culture. And so, of course, I'm the one that becomes this cash cow for my parents to pay off a debt, to ensure that the rest of the family can survive. And they literally feel horrible. So when Destiny Rescue comes in and offers these welcome kits, and they're surrounded, I like to say we wrap around these kids with our caring staff, our caseworkers, counselors, life course class teachers, empowering these kids to believe truth versus the lies that psychologically they've come to believe about themselves or their current situation.
Yep.
So
I'm going to let our audience check out destinyrescue.org for themselves, but know that there's 2 pages of different items you can look at here, all the way up to rescuing a child for $1,500. I think that's amazing. I mean, what price is someone's freedom? Well, we've actually got a price there, and it's extremely reasonable. But outside of that, there are all kinds of different buckets, including, if you scroll down a little bit more, water. Provide drinking water for a child for $14. This stuff it's so tangible. I think this is a brilliant way that you guys are presenting this, and it's a great way for people that want to give something very specific to these children to do that. Corey, let's go ahead and bring you back on screen. And let's get to it. I want to hear the story of a rescue that you were involved with.
This is probably one of the stories that sparked me to leave Thailand and come back to the United States, really to inspire people to get involved in this fight. I was working undercover in Pattaya, Thailand with our founder and Tony Kerwin. Tony Kerwin is the founder of Destiny Rescue. He's an Australian electrician, an incredible man that literally left everything, he and his family, to fight this issue head on. And today we're a worldwide organization in 9 countries, and continue to expand to fight this fight. But I was with him undercover, and we happened to be in a brothel. We were sitting with a 16-year-old girl. And this beautiful girl was wearing an overcoat, but all of a sudden her number was called to go dance on the stage. And she literally was stripped of her dignity. And while she's standing up there, all these girls are dancing really sexy, but she's trying to cover herself up, rocking back and forth, basically staring off into space. She could not even face myself or our founder. She was too ashamed and embarrassed to face us. And she was staring off into space. And I noticed this brothel manager, this mama-san is what they're called in Thailand. This is a woman brothel manager, walked over to her and started poking at her, looking up at her because she's on a stage, and saying, "You need to dance sexy for all these paying customers." And I'll never forget, deep on the inside, again, I don't know where you're at in your faith journey or what your belief system is in God, but I felt God speak to me down on the inside of, "Corey, I want you to be a voice for girls just like this, that have been stripped of their dignity, that you can give them a chance to live out the dream that I have put in their heart." And it was a defining moment for me. And it took us 4 months to get this girl out of the brothel. Do you know why?
Why?
Her own parents sold her into the brothel and were demanding that she stay there to earn an income so that they could pay off a debt. And you know, what's sad about this situation, John, is culture. Like many of these countries we work in are shame, honor-based cultures. Mm-hmm. In other words, if you live in the Western world, it is very difficult to understand the weight of responsibility put on a child to do what their parents tell them to do. If they don't do exactly what their parents tell them to do, it will bring dishonor to their family. And that is something they can't live without. So they are willing, literally, to stay in this brothel for 4 months, wrestling, knowing every second they don't want to be there. We've offered rescue, but their parents have told them to stay. So we were able to finally pressure the parents enough to convince them to not do that. And so Destiny Rescue went on to help pay for this girl's college education.
Wow.
And she's flourishing in life today. And so, you know, that was very impacting for me. And I know I have sat with, I can't tell you how many kids and young women in these circumstances. I've not met one girl that says, "I want to be in this environment. I dreamed about this when I was a young girl. This is what I want." No, there's a downward spiral of horrific set of circumstances that has devalued them as people and themselves. And
it's tough because in a way, you know, the quick reaction I have is you want to blame the family and say, like, "What are you guys doing?" But we're talking about a completely different culture, and we're talking about areas that are extremely poor. And I bet the parents feel like they only have so many options to try to make things right. You were telling me about another case where a young lady had been promised to a Japanese gentleman. And he was basically saying, "I'm going to pay off this family's debt if you let me marry this girl." And in that case, you guys were also able to rescue her in that situation. And this is one of the main reasons why I really want you guys to think about supporting Destiny Rescue here. They wound up cutting a loan to the family directly from them, so that the family didn't have that consideration anymore and could finally look at something objectively and make the right call. That's just the kind of people that we're dealing with here. And I think that is just an amazing story. Corey,
yeah, just to share just a little bit more to that story, John. we provided rescue to that girl because she went out looking for work and she could not support herself. And she found herself, the only option she had was in one of these bar situations, and they kept pressuring her more and more to where she finally gave in and had to sell herself to pay off this debt. This beautiful little 15-year-old girl. And then, so we rescued her. She lived in our care, was thriving, was dating this incredible man, young man in his early 20s. And the parents reached back out to her because the debt wasn't paid off. And this Japanese man said, I will pay off the debt. Have your daughter come home and marry me. She literally left everything, all the good that we did.
Wow.
Left it because her parents told her she had to come home and marry this man. Again, shame on our culture. It's difficult to understand in our culture. We followed suit with our lawyer and our rescue agents and caseworkers, and we were able to go confront this Japanese man and then also provide an opportunity with an interest-free loan to this family. And that girl went back into our care and began to flourish again.
And once again, what's even amazing about that is you guys don't give up. You faced a situation where you had gone through a rescue. She was on the right track. Her life was turning around. And because of cultural and family influences, she was falling back. And you guys reached that hand back out and pulled her out again and went even further in terms of helping the family. That's amazing. And that's such a big part of what we're talking about here with these particular countries, the level of poverty that we're dealing with here. It is such a hard battle, and there are many people that are affected. You've told me that many of the girls will start working, creating jewelry and selling jewelry, and they are still supporting their families, essentially taking part of the money they're earning and sending it back to their families.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about the jewelry.
So when girls reach a certain age, 15 to 17 years old, they can start learning a skill or trade. Within Destiny Rescue, one of them is jewelry making, but they also can become a barista, a cook, or waitress, work in one of our training cafes. They can become a seamstress. They can become a professional certified hairdresser. We help them go through all that programming to do that. And then we partner with government programs. If any of those trades don't fit them, then we have tons of others when we partner with the government programs for them to go through. But one of them is jewelry making. So handcrafted jewelry that's been made by the girls. We, what we call our funding nations, which is Australia, the United States, and New Zealand, where we raise awareness and funds for our organization. We actually purchase the jewelry off of our project nations, let's say Thailand. So they use that money to pay the girls and to keep the program running. Mm-hmm. And then we upsell the jewelry here in the United States. And then anyone that purchases jewelry on our online shop, or when we go speak at an event or we're exhibiting, we take our handcrafted jewelry there that people can purchase. All those funds go directly back into our organization to help us rescue and restore kids. So about 12 to 13% of our overall budget comes from jewelry sales.
That's amazing. And I just love that it's something creative like that. It's just, once again, when people get creative, it can really help boost their confidence in who they are, and help. You have to do that to try to fight that shame machine that we keep talking about. It's all about them almost becoming rebels for themselves in some way, trying to see the world a different way from what they've been told from their parents, their country, their mama-san, and other horrible people that are taking advantage of them. They have to really decide that they're worth more, and they're going to rebel against that. And that's an amazing thing to know that that's happening. And you guys are helping to facilitate that.
Thank you, John. Absolutely. In fact, what's brought to my remembrance is a story. Do you mind if I share?
Yeah, please do.
A story. It's the story of Noi. Noi came from an impoverished hill tribe village in a hill tribe village in Southeast Asia, and her parents were vegetable farmers, and they literally could not make enough ends meet to support their family. They were starving, and so they literally sent their daughter Noi out looking for work in the big city. She had never been to the big city. She was terrified to go. And all of a sudden someone said, well, you can go work in this restaurant and you can stay in this place. It's a great place. Well, as soon as she gets there, she realizes it's not a restaurant, it's a brothel. The brothel manager forced her to start working there, threatened her, if you don't work, I'll starve you. And if she didn't do what the customers wanted her to do, in fact, being raped every single day. She was beaten up, not only by the brothel manager, but if she resisted the customers beat her up. Wow. Literally, she would cry all day until she had to go service more customers at night. And this was a statement she said. She goes, I thought people forever would only look at me and label me as a prostitute. Here she is. She had no desire to do this, and she was forced in this horrific industry. And now she's being labeled by society and people as a prostitute. I just throw this out there to you. Like, you know what? Don't necessarily judge a book by its cover. Mm-hmm. You never know who you're dealing with and the situations they're in. Yep. You know, I used to be very judgmental towards people. Now, having lived on this side of what I do, it's horrific how these kids and these women end up in these environments, yep. Many times through no fault of their own. So eventually, she said that oftentimes she wouldn't even get paid for her services. They wouldn't even pay her. She had to work and be horrifically abused and then not even get paid. And one day, a Destiny Rescue agent came in and said that you're beautiful, that you have value and worth undercover, and she wouldn't believe it. But over the course of time, she saw he was completely different. He didn't touch her inappropriately or let her, because she's trained to touch customers inappropriately. And so it was like a father-daughter relationship. Yeah. And she began to trust him. And one day he offered her rescue, and she had the courage, because she had developed trust with him, to get on the back of his motorbike and never look back. She said, I never thought that those labels would be taken off of me, but now I know I have such value and worth. And the house parents give me such good counsel and advice, not like the brothels. They didn't care about me. They cared only what I would do for them. But these house parents, they give me loving guidance and advice and help steer me in a good direction. Yeah. And she went on to say that today I'm in cosmetology school, and I'm living out the dream in my heart. And one day I want to be able to own my own salon, and I'm well on my way to do that. That is the work of selfless men and women that are putting their lives on the line to ensure, just like Noi, have a chance to dream again. And take off those horrific labels of shame and guilt, yeah, and replace it with truth, that they have value and worth, and that they are worth fighting for. They're worth risking our own lives so that they can live out the dream that God has put inside them.
Awesome, Corey. Everyone watching, we are just about to hit the Q&A session, so get your questions ready. Before we do that, Corey, I do just want you to tell us about some of the bigger ways that people can contribute. I know that I saw on the website you can give directly to the safe houses. There's opportunities to help you guys with vehicles, and there's even a way where people can take trips.
Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and share our screen again. And if you come up here, ways to get involved, we can start there. There's overseas team trips. You can go visit our work in Thailand and Cambodia, soon to be India. They're 1 week and 2 week trips. And if you scroll down, you can see dates, upcoming trip dates. Typically, we go every single month out of the year. And so you can go visit our work. A 2 week trip currently is about $3,500. A 1 week trip's about $2,800. And that includes all your airfares, all your lodging, all your food. Basically, you're just bringing souvenir money. Obviously, you have to have a passport, so that's on you. And if you need shots visiting a developing world country like Thailand, Cambodia, or India, you want to make sure that your shots are current, that kind of stuff. But find that information out from your doctor. As far as the trip is concerned, they're incredible experiences. You get to see our work up close and personal. You walk through a red light district, literally a red light district where we rescue children out of. You'll visit many of our safe homes, interact directly with girls that we've rescued. You'll visit some of our prevention properties as well. You'll visit our production house, our cafes where we have our training programs going on. And you get to talk with our rescue agents, counselors, caseworkers, where you literally get to see this issue up close and personal and how Destiny Rescue operates on the front lines. We call them vision trips, so that, you know, if you're really interested in getting more involved in this issue, I would encourage you to go on a trip. It changed my life. That's actually how I'm involved with the work of Destiny Rescue today. I went on a team trip.
Amazing.
So if you want to learn ways that you can support us on an ongoing basis, you can what we call sponsor a home for a minimum of $35 a month. That's less than $1.20 a day. You literally get to see kids' lives being healed in our safe homes. They get professional-based counseling. All their daily needs are met. They're getting an education. They're learning a skill or trade. We'll help reintegrate them, find employment in the local community or a community of their choice, and we'll walk with them an additional 2 years. It's very holistic. We have an incredible success rate of keeping children out of the sex trade once we rescue them. In fact, we have about 1,000 kids in our care currently, and that number just fluctuates because we reintegrate kids and we rescue new kids. But it's pretty incredible. And so we have about 8 homes you can pick from. You can support that. It can be automatically debited from your account, or we can send you a statement each month and you write a check and mail that in. So we make it pretty convenient, or you can have it automatically wired from your checking account. I think it's called ACH opportunity. So there's a form that you can go through to do that. But again, when you support one of our homes, you're going to get quarterly updates, and you are going to see the progress and the fruit of your giving when you give. So, yes. Awesome. And then one more way. John mentioned earlier about rescuing a child. The average cost it takes Destiny Rescue to rescue a child is about $1,500. Again, that includes our time, our rescue agents, our undercover spending time with these kids, travel, surveillance equipment, to transportation of children once we rescue them, and a welcome kit into our care. So there's a lot of funds that go into that. It's the average cost. Some children, it takes a lot more. Others, it's much less, but that's about the average cost. And so for $1,500, you literally can see a girl just like Noi rescued and given a chance to fulfill her purpose in life. If you do that, you're going to get a keychain. The month that you gave, one of the girls that we've rescued, or children, it could be a boy, that we rescued that month, is going to be engraved on a keychain, their face, as just a memory and a token to say thank you that you helped rescue one of these kids in the month that you gave that donation.
Very sweet.
It takes about 2 months to get those because we have to have them made and all that kind of stuff. But we want to say we value you as donors. Awesome.
Amazing. Okay, well, I think we are ready for some Q&A session, and the first thing I see is Zoe Marlowe wants to know, she's a teacher, and she wants to buy some of the jewelry made by those rescued people for my students, and she wants to share their stories with her students. She's hoping it can help raise awareness here in Istanbul too. Is there a place on the website to buy the jewelry, or is it only?
There is a place. Is she in Turkey?
Zoe,
or is she in the United States?
I think she's saying here in Istanbul, so I would believe she is.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify what country we're talking about.
Yeah.
So she actually, you can host a jewelry party, if you will, where we'll ship you a box of jewelry that's handcrafted by the kids. It has our marketing materials. And so for your class, what you could do is say the date that you're going to bring in this material, have the kids bring in money that they can purchase jewelry. So the jewelry ranges from, most of the jewelry ranges from about $35 down to about $4. And so you can take checks, credit. You can actually do debit cards as well, depending on what age range these kids are you're talking about.
And are you, can you get to it? Like, do you go to the website to
Yeah,
ask
so
for one of these
I'll
boxes?
share that with you really quickly.
Okay, yeah.
So the way to do that is you're going to do, let's see, ways to get involved. And you're going to come over here to jewelry parties.
Yep.
And then you're going to click on that. And it says become a jewelry party host.
Yep.
And here's the interest form down at the bottom. You click that and it will be a form that you'll fill out. And then our jewelry department will reach out to you and schedule when you want to do that. 2 weeks or a week in advance, we'll ship you a box of jewelry with some of our marketing materials and make it an incredible event for you.
Now, does the person hosting have to do like a down payment on the jewelry? Because I know you said that if they don't sell it all, they send it back. How does that work?
So we'll ship you the box of jewelry for free.
Wow.
And then what you do is you just ship back what you don't sell. And so, you know, and even if the cost is something that you can't ship back yourself, which I think if you ship it like USPS, the one that is like you can pack out a box and it's not weight, I think it's like 15 to 17 bucks or something.
Okay.
But if that's a problem, you can take some of the cash or funds from the actual jewelry that you sold and pay for the postage. So
Awesome.
we allow you to do that too. So it's a great way to introduce people to the work of Destiny Rescue. We have marketing materials that we provide so that you can hand out to whoever as well. So whether that's your class or if someone's interested in hosting a jewelry party, you can do that. And we have many people that get involved with us in a greater capacity simply because they hosted a jewelry party.
Excellent. We got another question here from George Sosa. Actually, a bit of a good question. How do you vet your undercover agents to make sure that they remain on the up and up when they're dealing in these sensitive situations?
That's a great question. I'm glad that was asked. We don't let anybody become rescue agents for us. Sometimes they're law enforcement officers. Sometimes it could be a plumber. I mean, that feels called to this event, but generally speaking, to become a rescue agent, you have to serve at least a minimum of 6 months in a different capacity within our organization before you would be considered for a rescue agent. And you go through training. You go through some extensive training and how we work in the developing world, how we work with police, how you track specific things. And you mentioned a great point about accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Agents never go into brothels alone. They're always in 2s and 3s. Okay. Mostly 2s, but there are occasions it will be three agents. Sometimes they may be sitting across from each other so it doesn't look like you're together. But it's for accountability reasons for yourself, as well as if someone says that someone touched them inappropriately, well, you're there. There's accountability reasons. So
nice. So you're protecting your own interests as well.
Ourselves, our agents, and even the girls that are in our care. So
yeah,
we developed a great model. We've had a great success rate with our rescue agents.
Nice. Bridget Jamie Cooper wants to know: are the homes separate for boys and girls, the rescue homes?
That's a great question, and the answer is yes. Anytime that these children have been sexually heightened, their sexuality has been heightened, they tend to experiment more. They understand a lot more than a child should when it comes to their sexuality. And so we keep children of the opposite sex in different homes for that very reason. And great question. We feel that's very important for their overall health and growth and maturity into young adulthood.
Yeah. Luna Girl actually makes a comment: I wish we did not have to even think about this just because it would never exist. I wish that was true, Luna Girl, and that's part of the reason why I thought it was so important to cover this, and to do so in a way where I think we're at least trying to make it a bit easier to talk about it by talking about the upside of these kids being rescued there. I wish that this wasn't a problem like it is either. And obviously it also affects us here in the US in some way. Destiny Rescue, you mentioned you guys are kind of focused right now on the countries where you're currently active, but you are looking to spread and make this a worldwide initiative as well, right?
Absolutely. We want to end child sexual slavery worldwide. And, people come to us and say, well, can you come into this country? And, we're very strategic in what countries we go into next. And we can't do everything. You have to grow over time. Otherwise you spread yourself too thin and you can implode, if you will.
Yeah.
One of our biggest challenges at the moment for us to continue to reach and expand is funding. You can see that it takes money to rescue these kids. It takes money to see these kids healed and restored. And so one of the easiest and most efficient ways you can contribute to us is by simply giving or introducing us to your sphere of influence or network. Like, we're so gracious that John is having us on his show. I think, knowledge is powerful. If you're not informed, you can't make a decision, but just knowing is not enough. We need to act. In fact, there's a great quote, Sir Edmund Burke, he was born many, many moons ago, but he said this: all it takes for the triumph of evil in our world is that good men and women do nothing. Yeah. And so my heart is that when you hear something like this, you ask yourself the question, what part am I to play in the knowledge and the information I've heard, and what do I do? Some of you are connectors. Some of you can't go overseas, or you're not a connector, but you own a business and you can make an impact through your giving. Your generosity means saved lives. And so I don't know who we're connecting with. I don't see you, but there's many ways to get involved. And
that rolls really well into the next question here from Sylvinka82. Can we send in stuffed animals and homemade blankets to Destiny Rescue, or can we only donate to the listings that are on the website?
That's a great question, and this is something our organization has wrestled with. We've had clothing companies want to generously donate their clothing, but many times they're not styles that seem relevant for an Asian child. And so these girls, they don't want to wear it. They don't feel like, this sounds sad, but they don't feel valued in that clothing because it's not something they would wear. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so people are well-meaning. In saying that, I think blankets possibly could. Teddy bears, we take team trips over every month. And so we're able to take some things like that over to help support some of our safe homes and give them gifts. But one thing that we have tried to get more people to do is you could go online and make a donation and specify it for a child gift or something. And that is much better, because then our team can get them a gift in their native culture that makes sense. And many times your money will go further in that regard than trying to send something and ship something over. I hope that answers it. I hope I'm compassionate about, we're gracious that people want to give, but it just creates more challenges many times than opportunities.
Yeah, and that's a very important thing to consider, is you've got big logistics to think about in how all this gets handled as well. Outside of that, Zoe, who was asking about the jewelry, is very happy to hear about the information that we shared. And Zoe, I hope you go ahead and get that done. And if you do, send me a little message and let me know how that goes. I'm very curious to see how that jewelry party turns out. Let's see. Super Strike 9 wants to know, are the kids kept in contact with long-term to see how they're doing? So one of the things we didn't really cover on this call, but we had talked about before, was one of your goals is to get the children kind of reacquainted or back into their family unit. Mm-hmm. So do they stay at your safe houses for a long period of time? Are we talking until they're a certain age when they're released, or is it kind of case by case where if you can get the family to reintegrate the child, you might keep them for less and then have them go back to the family? How does that work?
That's a great question. So again, the overarching theme of what we want is we want what's best for the child. We want to help that child be able to grow and nurture. There's statistics that prove over institutionalizing children actually can have damaging long-term effects on a child. So our goal is not to keep children in our care long-term, but to reintegrate them with their families and provide the tools necessary for the family to be strengthened and nurture and support their child. If you can think, for example, a child was tricked or coerced, their family was lied to, and now he or she is in the sex trade. We rescue them. They don't want to come into our care for 2 years. They want to go back with mommy and daddy where they're safe.
Right.
So what we need to do, and what Destiny Rescue is doing, is we're finding each case-by-case situation. Sometimes the best case scenario is a child comes into our care and we support them until they're ready to be reintegrated, meaning they're 15 to 17 years old, they've gone through the skills-based training, and they can completely support themselves on an ongoing basis. We even have some transitional homes that there's some children or young adults that are not quite ready to be completely self-supportive, but they're transitioning where they have a lot less rules. They're out working, but they live under our care and with limited support. Which is kind of like a transitional home. We have others that go on and graduate and they're ready. They've gone on, they've purchased, they have their own business. They've purchased their family home. They support their family and themselves on their entire income, and they're thriving and flourishing in life. So there's a lot of ranges of what that looks like. And so if a child was sold by their parents knowingly, the goal is not to let that child be reintegrated back with their families, but that child will come into our care, and they'll go through our program. And when they turn 15 to 17, they can start learning a skill or trade, and then we'll help reintegrate them, and we'll walk with them an additional 2 years. Beyond that, they're always willing to reach out to us at any point they're struggling, and they will get counseling from our caseworkers and counselors. So there's that situation.
So once they're part of Destiny Rescue's family, essentially, they're part of the family. They can always call back. They are.
Awesome. And we've had many kids reach back out to us. One girl, Srinai, she reached back out to us just to say, I want to give an update on what's happening with me. She graduated from our sewing program, and she is now married to the most incredible man. She says they have a newborn baby son. She's the supervisor of a garment factory, overseeing a staff of 204 managers. She makes enough money, her and her husband, they're building a brand new home for themselves. She says it's not too big, it's not too small, it's just right for our growing family. And she said, thank you, Destiny Rescue, for saving my life. Today, I'm living the dream that I've always wanted to live. And it's because you've provided this incredible opportunity for me. So we have incredible success rate of reintegrating kids and ensuring that they're continuing to flourish once rescued.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to make this the last question because we definitely went over the 1 hour. And for everyone that's still hanging out here, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Alyssa has a question, and I'm very curious about the emotional implications here as well. She's saying, when you guys go undercover for your soft rescues, are you leaving other girls to continue their work there?
Say that again.
When you guys do a soft rescue, are other girls essentially being left behind? Like if you go into one of those situations, are you having to focus on the one girl you're pulling out, or is there occasionally a group that you might be able to get out? And what I'm curious about is if you are having to focus on one person and you're leaving others behind, that's got to be tough emotionally.
Yeah. So the goal is leave no child behind. Yeah. That's the goal. Now it can be difficult. Like they're all trained to say they're 18 to 24 years old. They might be 14 or 16. And, you know, a lot of these Asian countries, girls look really young, and you have to get good at identifying a real what we would call a target. Now, in saying that, we wish no person would be trafficked. And in some cases, the oldest girl that we've rescued was 32 years old. So our mission is children, but occasionally a child will not come out of the brothel unless their friend can come out with them. And so we will look into rescuing that friend, and our focus is child sex trafficking. But occasionally we come across a labor trafficking situation. We're not going to turn a blind eye to that. We're going to help them.
Are you able to hit the same brothel more than once with the same agents, or do you kind of mix up the agents a little bit to try to do a secondary?
It depends. Like sometimes you can with the same agent, but we have agents that are never allowed back in a certain area because they'll be recognized. So we have many agents, and we have Western agents, and we also have national or domestic staff. So whether you're in Thailand, Cambodia, India. So depending on the type of brothel, for example, if you're in much more of a tourist area, that it's more expensive brothel to purchase or to spend. I like to say spend money. A domestic, like let's say a Thai person, they would stick out like a sore thumb. Why are you here? Right. You know, you typically can't afford to be in a place like that. So it brings question into that place.
Right.
And so it just depends. So great question.
Okay. Many people are saying thanks, including Missing Mom Shannon popped up. Thanks, John and Corey. I'm so glad we were able to make this happen. I'm seeing people on here really wanting to get involved. Thank you, Missing Mom Shannon, for helping to be the glue to bring Corey and I together on this. And thank you, Corey, so much for the work that you're doing. I know I said it to you before on the last call, but I wish we were actually meeting in person because I'd love to give you a huge handshake and a big hug right now. The work that you guys do is amazing. It's inspiring that you are looking into some of the darkest corners of not just our society, but a worldwide issue. And you're shining a light in those areas, looking for children and pulling those children out of those situations. To all of you that are watching at home, please, I please ask you, just consider going to destinyrescue.org. Look at all the different ways that you could help support them. And quite honestly, I'm so moved by this. I want to get things started by saying as soon as we're wrapped up here today, I'm going to go to destinyrescue.org. And on behalf of myself and all my amazing Patreon supporters, thank you guys so much for allowing me to do things like this. We are going to buy 10 of the $25 care packs, the rescue kits. So Corey, thank you so much for the amazing work that you guys are doing. Please let your coworkers know how much support there is out here for them. I'm just thoroughly amazed. You guys are great.
Thank you, John. What a pleasure it was to be on your show. I know on behalf of all the staff and the children that we're defending around the world, it is my honor and pleasure to be on and bring to light this issue. And we're so grateful for your listeners that they are interested in this issue and they're eager to get involved. If they need to reach out to me directly, I can provide my contact details to you. And we can do that unless you want me to share directly on here. It's
up to you. If you feel comfortable doing that, please do.
Yeah, I don't mind. You can find me at Cory, Cory, at destinyrescue.org. Cory, Cory, at destinyrescue.org. That's my direct email. Or you can just reach out to us on the contact us form on our contact us page on our website, and you can ask for information and they can get you to me as well. It's very easy. But we just appreciate you, John. Your sphere of influence, what you're doing is bringing to light an important topic in our world today. And we are honored to be here and to be a guest on your show. So thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. And I feel like I'm carrying the light load in terms of what I'm doing. You guys are really doing the hard work, and I appreciate you guys so much. Corey, if you want to just go ahead and put yourself on hold, I'm going to get back with you as soon as the show ends here. But I just wanted to wrap up with everyone. You guys, I'm seeing all the comments. You're wonderful. And when Missing Mom Shannon told me about this, and when I looked into this website, first of all, know that I get a lot of ideas that come my way, and they don't always work well for what I consider my channel. But this one felt absolutely right. It felt like a great way to get more information out about this problem. And I only feel like that because of you guys, because I know that you're supportive about looking into issues like this. I know that you're not people that run away from looking into issues like this. And it's because of you that I even have opportunities like this. So you guys are really amazing. I appreciate each and every one of you out there. And thank you so much for being here. Take care, everyone. I will catch you back here on the next show on the Lord and Arts channel. Thank you so much for another successful live stream. I'm just ecstatic, and I love you guys. Take care. I'll see you again soon.